Citizen. I'm your host, Tia Carol Jones. I'm here today with Joe Handy. Joe is the president and CEO of the National Black MBA Association. Joe, welcome to the show.
Tia, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, that's a very long, boring story. Name is Joe Handy. I was born and raised in Harlem, New York, and I found my way many years ago to move to Atlanta, chasing a dream, employment, and I was fortunate enough to have a mentor in my life that asked me to be a part of what he considered history in building an institution called Georgia Aquarium. And during my time there, which is very interesting, during my time at Georgia Aquarium, I started to realize that there wasn't a lot of representation of color in the zoological community. So as I grew within my career and became president and CEO of Georgia Aquarium, I started to go to a lot of zoological conferences and realized that there wasn't a lot of people of color there. So I felt the need to really get involved in our community and really look at ways to educate our community and let them know that there are a bunch of about 137 different career paths that exist in zoological operations. So just sort of getting entrenched in that and trying to be an advocate for our people and getting involved in the community opportunity and the events that took place this past year in 2020 really had me pause and think about where I wanted to put a lot of my focus and a lot of what I learned throughout my career and being more woven into our community. So an opportunity presented itself with the National Black MBA Association, and I felt sort of this pulling on me from a passion and from a community necessity for me personally, that I wanted to get more involved in helping our people look at different career paths. So that's what landed me into the position that I'm in now at National Black MBA Association.
Okay, great. When was National Black MBA Foundation founded, and what is its mission?
So that's a very interesting question in the sense that it was founded right here in Chicago. 51 years ago, a group of bold, compassionate, and ambitious individuals decided that they wanted to level the playing field, so to speak. The mission to create opportunities for people of color, particularly Black people, to advance in their careers, to advance in their collegiate careers, and to ensure that companies were looking at a pipeline for Black talent. So here we are on the shoulders of those bold individuals 51 years later and doubling down on that, ensuring that companies that are looking for Black talent know where to go, and ensuring that our members, our Black talent, know the companies that are looking for them. So we do that a number of different ways. So we have, and I'll tell you this, over the years we've evolved and understand that not everyone takes the conventional way of career pathing. We have a number of individuals that look at entrepreneurship as a way to develop a career and provide for their family. So we want to provide wraparound services not only for those that are matriculating throughout their college careers, those folks that are in a career that want to advance into a higher level, but also entrepreneurs that are looking to develop themselves and build their business. Because one of the interesting things that we've discovered is that about 90% of Black-owned businesses are sole proprietors in the sense that they don't have any employees. And what we want to do is we want to step into that space and help those individuals grow their business, because we know that as Black businesses excel, they'll hire Black people. And when you have this ecosystem that not only you have ambition to grow your business by reaching forward, you have a means to be able to reach back and pull your people up with you, then it has this sort of generational impact. So we want to also be in those spaces. So helping individuals in their college and collegiate matriculation identify career paths that they want to pursue, helping individuals that are in a career path go to the next level, and looking at entrepreneurs and small businesses, shoring them up to make sure that they're in a position for success.
The National Black MBA Association Conference will take place September 14th through the 18th in Chicago. What are some of the ways a conference like this can benefit professionals and companies?
So going back to, this is our fourth tour. This is the fourth time that we visited Chicago, and what better place to have our conference this year is coming back home, coming back to Chicago where it all started. So we're having, once again, our fourth time here. It's going to be September 14th through the 18th. And the benefit for this is it's one of the largest, if not the largest, Black Career Fest. So we are putting companies in position to see the Black talent that exists within our communities. And we're putting our members and those participants in a position to see companies that are making a commitment to hire Black talent. So that's one of the benefits. That's sort of been sort of a foundation for us historically in our conferences. This is our 43rd conference, pardon me. And over those conferences years, that's what we pride ourselves on. We have a number of successes in the sense of people that are now seasoned executives within their career that found their first job or started at that company by way of matching or getting that job at the conference. So at our conference, one of the benefits is you can upload your resume. You can submit your resume prior to coming to the conference, and then there's opportunities to be hired on the spot. So we've got Fortune 500 companies that are there looking for Black talent, that are there committed to hire Black talent, and then we have a source, a pool of talented Black individuals there looking for jobs and looking to find a company that's not only going to benefit them, but are in the spaces where they're in. Because the other thing that we do with our conference is we create a sense of brand loyalty, because we know our community supports people that support us. So if we have a company there knowing that they want to source Black talent, and we have our Black talent seeing those companies and seeing that commitment, then it's sort of a match made in heaven.
So you kind of talked about why Chicago was chosen as the location for the conference. So when you talk about the people who started this organization, what do you think drove them?
Oh gosh, I wish I could say I was there when they were having those what I know is robust conversations and ambitious conversations, but in talking to many of them, what was woven through all of my conversations was their commitment to our people, and the fact that they wanted to ensure that our people were getting looked at when it came to advancements in jobs, because in many cases our people have been sort of silented or silent voices, and they haven't been in a position that they can advance. And think about this is prevalent today. But think about that 51 years ago.
Right.
Think about how bold these individuals had to be to say, I'm no longer going to accept what exists. I'm going to build an organization that's going to change it. And here we are 51 years ago, still fighting the fight, but in a better situation than we were because of these individuals.
What can attendees expect from this conference?
Aside from having being able to visit a beautiful, wonderful city, coming to our conference, meeting companies that are looking to hire them on the spot in many cases, but are committed to our community and committed to advancing Black people within their company. You have the opportunity to learn about wraparound services that the association is affording individuals. You have the opportunity to learn about the scholarships that we provide. You have the opportunity to meet companies and get hired. You have the opportunity to hear a slew of earth-shattering speakers that are not only successful, but inspiring based on their life stories. So there is a robust amount of advances and opportunities that exist within our conference, but that's just me telling it. I employ everyone to come to our conference so they can see it for themselves and see and just have that experience, and not just an experience that you leave with, but an experience that you live with. Because a lot of the participants that come to our conference are still talking about the first time they visited a conference, the time that they got the job, the friendships and relationships that were created outside of a conference. So there's a multitude of opportunities and impacts that happen with our conference. We must be doing something right. It's been 40. We've done 43 of them.
Right. How are companies doing when it comes to hiring and supporting Black talent?
That's a very interesting question. How are companies doing? Let's say this past year, and I don't want to broad stroke this. There are some companies that have been committed to our community for a long time.
All right.
But I would say this past year, think of it as being at the starting line.
Okay.
And we're all running this race. We are huffing and we are running as hard as we can. We're not at the finish line yet. So what we have to do as an association is ensure that we have companies that are continue to run that race. And we need to make sure that there's a continued focus on this, because if not, it will just be one race that was done. If we don't take and ensure that companies are living beyond the hashtag, because last year we were full of hashtags. This past year, the tragic events that took place, we had a lot of companies come out and they put a lot of hashtags on their website of where they support, what they supported, how they were going to support. Now we need to make sure that they do it. We need to make sure that these companies are living beyond the hashtag. So to answer your question, we have started the race, but we are nowhere near the finish line. I would just say, just to go back, we know that out of the Fortune 500 companies that exist, 280 executives, 2% or less than 2% are Black executives. I mean, 2% of 280 of the Fortune 500 company executives are Black, less than 2%. That's not a trend that's sustainable. We know the buying power of our community, and we need to galvanize. And we have to ensure, once again, that these companies are held beyond the hashtag.
What are some of the things companies can do to improve?
Do what they say. Be authentic, and when you commit to advancing and commit to our community, show it not only in a media spiel, show it by the actions and the elevation of executives within your community. Within your company. So they just need to do what they say. But also, I would say that, and forgive me if I go off on a tangent, we have had the emergence of a lot of DE&I as a title that has shown up in a lot of companies. But in many cases, this individual that's charged with changing the culture of a company, that's charged with identifying talent within said company and hiring talent within said company, gets, my words, buried in HR, right? I am a true believer that if it's important enough to a company, then that should be a direct report to the CEO, because the CEO gets reports based on those individuals that report directly to them. And every person that is a direct report to the CEO has the CEO's ear. So when it is important and when you have the CEO's ear, then the CEO wants to hear about it. And the CEO's job is to remove obstacles that allow for you to do a good job. So when we look at DE&I, if it is a problem within the company or if it's a focus of the company, make sure it's being elevated to the level, to the person that can remove the obstacles that remove the problem.
So let's talk about numbers. Are the numbers of Black people in executive level positions increasing or decreasing? And what do you think is the reason for this?
I think that we're still running the race.
Okay.
And I think that we are getting closer. We're not as close to the starting line, but we're not that much, we're still far away from the finish line.
Okay.
So what companies have to do is continue to run the race. What companies have to do is continue to make it a priority. And what companies have to do is ensure that they are committed to making this work. And also it's so multifaceted, because you have to understand all of the things that occur within the Black community and all of the things that occurred in the Black community that got us to where we are today. You have to be mindful of the plights that exist within our community so that you can understand what it is that we have to do to show up to work each and every day. So there was this book that talked about dual personalities. So in many cases, you don't have to, as a black person, you have to have these dual personalities. You have to be everything that you are in your work life, but then you have to be everything that you are in your personal life. And you have to flip this switch. You constantly have to say, okay, get it together. I'm about to walk in this building, and if I don't come with 110%, then any person that comes after me that is black is going to be looked at based on how I show up.
Right.
That's a lot of weight.
Yes.
That's a lot of weight to carry each and every day.
Yes, it is.
When our white counterparts don't have that same burden.
No.
So when we talk about all of the echoing impacts and how do we get to win a race, then there is a reckoning, there's an education that needs to happen, and there is a voice that needs to be heard.
Okay. Very well said. How can companies ensure they are retaining black staff?
Pay them appropriately. You know, there's so many, and in many cases we never got the memo. Right? There's so many conversations and so much vernacular that is thrown out that we don't know about.
Right.
So when we go get a job, we say, okay, what do I have to do? How much am I going to get paid? And that's, and I'm speaking for myself. That's the entirety in many cases of what the question is. Now we're talking about benefits and things like that, but we're not talking about what are companies doing to create generational wealth. What is your full compensation package?
Right.
When I am done with this job, am I still in a position to be able to provide? So what's my retirement plan?
Right.
How are you investing in me? Is there any development that you're going to provide? Are you going to assist me getting to the next level? Are you committed to me as I'm committed to you? Because I'm coming in here every day and I'm giving my 110%.
Right.
But do you have the same commitment to me? Let's look at that. Let's look at the full compensation package. But we don't ask that question because we're on, in many cases, I don't want to broad stroke things because I know that there are exceptions and this might just be my reality. But in many cases, we don't look at that totality when we approach our work because we don't have the luxury of failure. We don't have the luxury. We don't have that in some cases. We don't have that nest egg. You know, we are all that our family has.
Right.
So we don't have the luxury of challenging. We don't have the luxury of negotiations. We don't have the luxury of asking those questions. So we have to shift that, and our companies have to, in cases where we may not know, talk to us about that. It has to be a full development.
Right. And how do those conversations start?
From a employee standpoint, the conversations have to be had in the beginning. You have to look at what is the company doing for all of its staff and ensure that we are all reaping the benefits of our hard work and our labor. From a company, from an employer standpoint, we have to ensure that the wealth is being spread. We have to ensure that we are having conversations, in particular with our DE&I individual, to ensure what the culture is of the organization. As a CEO, I like to look at the people who work with me as employee-sumers. Okay? And an employee-sumer is different than your employee, well, it is your employee, but it's different than your consumer. The reason being, a consumer, let's say X company that sells widgets, because I don't want a company coming back and saying I called them out. Right. So let's say there's said company that sells widgets, right? If your customer is not happy with the widgets that you sell, then they can decide whether or not they want to buy or support your company anymore. Your employee-sumer, if they're not satisfied with the company or not satisfied with the product that you sell or getting the burden of customers complaining about the product, they are there the next day because they're motivated by a paycheck.
Right.
So your employee consumer should be as equally focused on as your consumer, because your employee consumer not only consumes your brand daily, but if you are not authentic about who you are as a company and not willing to be better as a company, then it will erode you from the inside.
Where can people go to find out more about National Black MBA Association?
Aside from coming to our conference, September 14th through the 18th in Chicago, you can visit us at www.nbmmbaa.org.
Okay, great.
Follow us,
Sorry.
visit us. Follow us, visit us, share your stories. If you have a National Black MBA Association story, we would love to hear it, because we want to highlight the successes that have come out of our association, because I'm a firm believer that success breeds success, and we can't be silent. We can reach forward and inspire, but we should also reach back and pull people in with us.
Great, great. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I just want to say once again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you, giving me an opportunity to express what National has done for 51 years and what we will continue to do. But what I also want to say is we don't want to be in this alone.
Okay.
So we want to ensure that we continue to leverage the talent, and we highlight the talent that exists within our community. So I would say, I would employ everyone, become a member, although our name is the National Black MBA Association. And we welcome people who have a different viewpoint in their career pathing. So you don't have to be an MBA, you don't have to be an MBA student. We are looking for talented individuals within our community, within the Black community, and we want to make sure that we are putting those individuals in positions of success and matching talent with opportunities.
Okay.
So come on in, the water's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real news